Kick-ass confidence for the woman who wants more passion, power, and personal style. Hello, beautifuls, and welcome back to Kick-ass Confidence. I'm Linda, your host and your confidence coach. And today we're going to have a short conversation about the young'uns, the young bloods, the next generation, whatever it is that you want to call them. This has everything to do with your confidence and your personal style, your influence, and how you are either contributing to or taking away from our future, which is our kids. And do pardon the hair, okay? Never mind the hair. I am growing out my pixie and I'm wearing my daughter's little headband. So that's what I have on today. Listen, this is actually a very serious conversation and it has everything to do with your influence and your confidence. I have a question for you. Do you feel that you are a bridge between your current generation? I'm speaking mostly to those who are 40 years old and over. So let's say the 40 plus generation. Are you a bridge between your generation and the teenagers, let's say up to 22 years old of today? So anything from 13 to, let's make it 22. Or have you ever considered that you might be a barrier? How do you know? Well, you have to ask yourself the question. How do you treat the younger generation? How do you speak about them when they're around as well as when they're not around? You are either part of the problem or part of the solution, friend. And I know too many, I don't know them, but I hear conversations just in passing or in a social environment of someone who, a mutual acquaintance or at the school gate. And it's the young ones and the kids of today and, this next generation. You're just making yourself sound like a bloody geriatric. Do you know that? You really are. You're making yourself look and sound old. And that's not good for your confidence. It's not good for your influence either. We have got to be breaking down barriers, not just between women, because that is part of our mission here at Linda Page, but between generations, because we have far more in common with one another than we do in conflict. They are human beings just like you. They face trials and tragedies and challenges just like you. Just because they are wearing different clothes, just because they have a different kind of language that most of us don't understand, like Sigma and Riz and, all that cool stuff. It's cool because it's cool for them. Just like your language was cool for you, like mine was cool for me when I was growing up. You have got to be contributing positive value to the kids. You have got to be interested. You have got to be breaking down barriers and building a bridge. How do you do that? Well, here's just an easy suggestion. Be interested in them. Ask them questions. Oh my gosh, heaven forbid, learn from them. These kids are growing up in an AI environment. Do you know how challenging and exciting that is for them? AI is, and if you're not using ChatGPT or the very basics of AI, you are surrounded by the young ones, that generation, the kids of today that you like to call them, who could show you a thing or two in about 5 minutes and really improve your work life, your day in the office, or your personal life. You can learn from them just like they can learn from you. And you know what? We need each other. I recently had the opportunity to ask 5 17-year-olds, I think one of them was 18, 5 17-year-olds, what is the one thing that you need most from adults, from older men and women? What is the one thing that you would say, if you had to choose one thing that you need most from us? Guess what they said? Encouragement. Just encourage us. I said, is it obvious to you that you were being criticized by the older generation? And they're like, oh yeah, that's a no-brainer. We get criticized on what we wear, on how we speak, on what we're doing online, whether or not we're gaming. We get criticized by them, the drop of a hat, by people they don't even understand. People who are 40, 45, 50, 60 and up. And that's not okay. That is just really not okay. Because we're designed for connection, for community, for conversation. And they are no different. People say the world's gone crazy. Everything's different today than in my day. No, it's not. No, it's not. They're facing the same challenges, just in a different form, right? So there are, yes, of course. I also think the world's gone a little bit crazy when it comes to the identity crisis or the identity movement that is the male female or the binary, the non, the gender neutral conversation. And that is not what this conversation is about. We have had this conversation before. We'll have it again. Why? Because it's important. It's important that we have conversations of, it's not exactly current affairs, but it is what's happening in our world right now. And you can honor and respect yourself and others, as well as, in parallel with that, having a really firm opinion on something. It doesn't call for your approval. It doesn't call for you to condone who's doing what. It doesn't call for you to judge anything or anyone. You just honor and respect yourself and others, and you will find your influence and your confidence expanding. And you'll be more pleasant and interesting dinner conversation rather than spewing out your opinion of the kids of today. You haven't walked a day in their shoes, my friend. Neither have I. What do you profess to know about the kids of today? Most people, 40, 45 plus, are judging the kids of today. They are no different to us. They're just facing similar challenges in a different format. It just comes in a different style. How do I know? Because human nature is the one thing that hasn't changed since the dawn of mankind. We want the same things. We want love, safety, security. We want to be accepted and respected. We want adventure. We are scared of the same things. We're fearful of not being loved and accepted. We're fearful of loneliness and isolation. We're wired for community. And in their online era of what they're growing up in, do you know how hard it is for them to make friends and establish really true, sincere, not fake relationships online? You know how hard that is? You don't know what that was like. You didn't deal with that when you were 13 or 16. They do. They've got to be so savvy. They've got to be so discerning. They've got to be sharp. They've got to be smart. Don't you be judging them. So what can you do? Well, do what we do here at Linda Page. Use fashion as a connector. Rather than the next time you see them, wherever it is, at church especially, compliment them on what they're wearing. Find someone who you think, okay, instead of you now speaking truth in love, I can't stand that some person came up with that self-fulfilling, self-appointed position of, God told me to speak to her in love and just let her know that her dress is too short. BS, man. BS. He doesn't work like that. You don't know what she's going through. Why don't you rather go to her and say, you know what, you've been coming here for 6 months, and every time you come on a Sunday morning, I see you're wearing something really interesting, something really colorful and different, and I just wanted to say, good on you. Thank you for inspiring me to up my game a little bit. Thank you for inspiring me to get out of the black and white and get into some color, because I notice you every time you come to church. Introduce yourself, have a coffee. How about that? Because you know what she is normally on the receiving end of? Criticism, the judgmental looks of, yep, her dress is a little bit short, or her jeans are too baggy and grungy, or those shoes just are not appropriate for church. Who do we think we are? Judging what the young ones, the kids of today, are wearing and doing, and think we don't even have a clue what they're going through. 5 17-year-olds said, we just need encouragement. Come on now, you go back and remember what you were going through, what you and I went through when we were 12, 13. I was molested at 13. Could that have come with some encouragement and support from adults around me? Oh my gosh, yes. But I also got criticism and judgment from adults around me, assuming and presuming that they know who I am and what I'm going through, when I was I was a wreck inside for so many years after that. Well, I was a wreck inside before that, not having had the best childhood, but that just added fuel to an already blazing fire. You don't know that those kids haven't been molested. You know the shocking, sad truth that most women will go through some form of physical or sexual abuse or taken advantage of at one point or another in her life. Who are you to judge what length her dress should be? You're called to love her, but you're going to church and you're preaching your favorite verse of the Bible and then you're judging her? Come on now, I am challenging you right now because this happens every single Sunday at church. What about the guys? What about the young men? They are called to be men. They're called to step up and to go to bat and to play to win. They're called to go and slay the day and to go out there and hunt and play to win. Who's encouraging them? So many of them don't grow up with fathers, or if they do, not very good role models. The same is true for moms and women. I'm not saying it's just men. But what about encouraging them? We have got to start leading by example. We have got to ask questions and use encouragement and fashion. Hey, oh my gosh, I love that turquoise t-shirt on you, to the guy who's wearing that with jeans and you see him, wherever at the office, or he's an engineer and then he's, branched out in purple one day because they're in jeans and t-shirts every other day. And you say, hey, love that purple t-shirt. It looks really good on you. That's all you need to do. A word of life, a word of compliment, a word of love never goes unplanted. It doesn't just get taken off and disappear into thin air. No, words of life land on their minds, land on their hearts, just as it does yours. So this is a short conversation today, but it is one that I'm having a lot lately because it drives me crazy how the older generations will criticize and judge and actually reject the kids of today, when in fact they don't know what they're doing and how they're hurting these young men and women. These young men and women are us. We are the same race, and we are just facing different issues at a different time in a different style. But they are creative. They are brilliant. They are fashion conscious, by the way. When we just slid on through fast fashion all of these years, they are into ethical fashion and not waste and taking better care of the planet than we did. We can learn from them. If you're not using ChatGPT as a very basic tool today, you're not going to get left behind. You have already been left behind. But you're surrounded by younger men and women who could help you. If you could just say, I know I'm 53 and I'm going to sound like a dinosaur right now, but would you spend 10 minutes with me sometime and just help you to understand this AI thing, this ChatGPT? Could you help me with that? And I'm telling you right now, they will help you. And they will be surprised and moved that you even asked. Don't have an ego that makes you not ask for help, because that ego is just going to hold you back. Why would you do that? You've got a lot of life to live. You've got a lot of love to give. So I want to encourage you today. Really challenge yourself. Really think about this and check your heart. Are you someone who criticizes the younger men and women today? You can have your opinion on the whole gender conversation, but you're not called to judge or condone or approve of that. You don't have a gavel in your hand. You're not the judge. There is only one. And I'm not saying that you have to agree with it, but you can respect and honor others whilst you don't agree with how they're living their lives. You don't have to approve of how they're living their lives. You might, heaven forbid, be interested and ask a few questions. You might learn something. You might go, I really want to learn a bit more about this. It doesn't mean that you're agreeing. So don't separate yourself from people who do things that are very different to you, who dress differently, who speak differently, who are at a different age bracket. That's just stupid. That's just small-minded. And that's not you. That's not you, and that's not confidence. A confident woman is not easily offended, because easily offended people are easily controlled. A confident woman is not easily shaken when it comes to what's happening out in the world, because she knows who she is. She is strong and set in her identity. And when you have good, strong self-confidence, which is self-trust, ultimately that root is rooted in what? For me, it's in my God. It's the creator of the universe. That's where my identity rests. It's rooted in that. I'm his daughter. Without that, my self-esteem doesn't exist. My self-esteem is my identity. It's my evaluation of my own. Who am I? What is my value? And my value was not established at the cross, as it says in some religious Christian teachings. My value was established the minute that the creator of the universe saw fit for me to be conceived. My value was established at that second. So if I'm rooted in, if my identity is rock solid, I won't be so shaken and upset and mad and spitfire mad when I see other people doing something very different to me. Do I agree in the fact that there are parents who are allowing their kids who are of underage to undergo surgery? No, I absolutely don't. I don't agree with that whatsoever. But like I said, this is another conversation for another time. But I stand firm for us being bridges instead of barriers. I stand firm in what I believe in with regards to my faith and my fashion and my feelings and my finances and my life and how I parent and how I do my best to run my life. I stand firm in that without being shaken to the core or angered or really mad when I see somebody else doing something very different. I might go, that's interesting. I have never come across that. And then I've got questions. How come? How long? What about this? What about that? Wow, I've never heard of that. What does that mean? You don't know. You haven't walked a day in his or her shoes. I want you to receive this challenge because it requires humility to be challenged on things like this. I'm challenged on almost daily basis, okay? So you get me to challenge you as well. We need to be challenged and held accountable by others. We need to be the smallest fish in a big pond. Otherwise, it's just ego to be the big fish in a small pond. We need to surround ourselves with people who are stronger, faster, better than we are. Why? Because it'll make us stronger, faster, better. And we'll raise kids who are stronger, faster, better. And by that, I don't just mean playing to win in life and in sports and in school, because it is a competitive world out there, and you are a fool if you think that a participation trophy is all that is required, or just have fun. Winning doesn't matter. No, it does. It does. Why? Because the real world rewards excellence. The real world is looking for people who are going to bring a spirit of excellence, who are going to bring attention to detail and commitment and be good ambassadors of their brand. The world rewards and recruits excellence. This is why competition is part of our spirit. We're made in the image of the Creator. Hello, have you looked around? Have you seen any excellence in His design? In His design of you, the perfect you? In the design of a beautiful little... The other day, I don't have it here. I was so blessed to be given by a young teenager, 15, 16 years old, girl by the name of Chloe, 2 little chrysanthemums. I didn't even know what they were called until recently. 2 little chrysanthemums with a little silk bow and a scripture on it, Luke 1:45. I will never forget that, because that is a day I really, really needed encouragement. And here's this teenager that came out of nowhere in a shopping mall when I took my little girl and her friend to go and get something that they were buying. And she just stopped and she said, "Excuse me, this is for you." And then I looked, I'm like, "Oh, what is it?" And she said, "It's just a little gift with a scripture." And then I looked at her and she walked off, and I said, "Hey, come back. Let me give you a hug. Thank you so much. That's very sweet." And then as I hugged her, I looked at it. It was 1:45, and it said, and I'm paraphrasing, it's probably not word for word, but it says, "Blessed is she who has chosen to," I think it is, to believe in the fact that the Lord will fulfill His promises to her. Basically, blessed is she who will trust Him and believe that He will fulfill the promises that He has made for her. And I had just made a decision a couple of hours prior to that was so directly connected to that scripture. And it was probably a 15-year-old young girl who gave that to me. Now, if I had a real judgment over what she was wearing and her top and anything else and her baggy jeans, and would I have received that word, that powerful word of life? No, I would not have. I might have gone, "Oh, thanks." It would not have been the same. My eyes are wide open. My heart is wide open to those who are younger than me and older than me, to see what can I learn, what's going out there, what have I missed, what can I contribute to. Where's the solution? Because I want to make sure I'm part of that and not part of the problem. And I want to hang out with people who are part of the solution and not part of the problem. That young girl, Chloe, blessed the socks right off of my feet that day. It's sitting in a little glass of water in my kitchen where I see it over and over and over. Come on, friend. This is your call to action today. Drop your judgment, both of those who are older than you as well as those who are younger. Don't you be gossiping about them. Don't you be speaking disparagingly about them. Don't you be speaking death over them. I heard a word the other day. I don't remember. I was in the gym and I actually needed a word from God on something. I said to him, "Please help me. to understand this in more detail. And all I did was, and I've never done this, I went in and I typed on, in my phone, I typed in best church message, because I just needed something right. And the one that came up was, it was titled Words. And my conversation with him and my conviction was all about words. And he very succinctly said, your words have only two directions. There's no neutral direction here. They are only words of life, or they only are words of death. Those are the two directions. If you say to someone, oh, you know what, it's okay, I don't feel like you have to forgive your husband on this occasion. You have forgiven him so many times. There comes a point where, really, come on, that's words of death. It's in the direction of don't forgive. Or if you're saying, you know what, Jane, I don't know about you. All I know is God has extended so much grace to me so many thousands of times I've lost count. So you can't be counting how many times you have forgiven your husband. Because if your grace for him stops, well, grace from God to you stops flowing as well. So, and that's the direction of life. Our words don't have anything in the middle. So I want to encourage you to also learn from, and I never used to be comfortable around much older people. I wasn't. You know why? Because the elderly people that I encountered, especially in my 20s and 30s, were bloody grumpy. So this is a message for older people in their, 70s as well. Sometimes there's 68-year-olds who look and talk like 85-year-olds, just grumpy and pissed off and not happy and nothing good to say. Nobody wants to be around that. I've got two friends, Rob and Angie. Oh my gosh, they've just been married for 50 years recently. I was so sad to not make their party, but 50 years. I want to be like Rob and Angie when I grow up. They are a delight to be around. They have a sense of humor. They ask questions. They take interest. They just are grateful for their days and for the friends that they have. And as a result, can you imagine, they have attracted the most incredible friends around them that are a real rich part of their lives. I want to be like Rob and Angie when I grow up. And so this is the same for you as if you're older. Like, be an older person who people want to be around. I hardly had met them a couple of times. I invited them to my 52nd birthday party. And please, can you come? I just want to have you in my home. And what a blessing they were in my home. My friends were like, who are they? They're amazing. We love them. Everyone falls in love with Rob and Angie. I want to be like that. And listen, the same applies for you. If you're in your 20s, I've got a bunch of 22, 21, 25, 27, 28-year-olds in my community here at Linda Page. Don't you be judging those who are older than you, who maybe didn't have cell phones in their day. You can have a joke, and let's not take ourselves too seriously, okay? My kids make fun of me. Mom, where's the electricity? When did you get TV? And it sounds archaic, but it is what it is. And but here's what, right? One advantage I had that they will never have is when I was on the phone. Remember those actual phones? If you wanted to slam it down, bam, you could slam the phone down on someone. I saw that on an Instagram reel one time. It's true. But be asking questions, okay? Don't judge, man. Just take an interest. Be a kind of person that people want to be around. And you'll attract good people, and you'll expand your horizons and your mindset, and you will benefit from that. You'll be a richer person, richer in friendship and relationship and experience. You'll make richer memories. So I'm going to leave that there on this note about whether you are a bridge or a barrier between yourself and the older generation, but mostly between yourself and the younger generation. Whether they're Generation Z or X or like whatever, man, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, I don't know. That doesn't really interest me. What I'm interested in is, am I a bridge or a barrier? And how do I know? Well, you should go and ask the opinion of those you are afraid to ask the opinion of. Go and ask the opinion of people who you know are going to give you honest feedback, won't be scared to tell you the truth. Ask your children. They'll tell you. And of course, you're the most connected with them. So if you've got 12, 13, 15-year-olds, 18, 22-year-olds, you want to ask them, do I come across as somebody who's really connected with your generation, that understands, that asks questions? Or do you hear me sometimes criticizing and complaining about you guys? And they will tell you. And so ask yourself the question, are you a bridge or a barrier? Because you do not want to be a barrier. You want to be a bridge. You want people traffic to flow in and out of your life and in and around through you. You want to be a vessel of people of life, of words of life, of good people, good opportunities. It's not just good for you, but that's you sowing good seed into your corner of the world. Be a bridge, man, okay? Be a bold, big-ass, badass, beautiful bridge. That is the word for today. All right. If you're catching us here for the first time, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for giving your time and attention to this message. If you haven't joined us yet in school, skool.com, the detail is always in the post, whether you're catching it here on Spotify, the podcast, or on social media, or on email. Join school.com. It is free, and as you walk in the front door, you get a brand new gift that's valued at $297 called Kickstart Your Closet, where I help you to organize your closet, take back control of your closet, establish a simple but powerful get-up, dress-up routine, because there is so much power in fashion. It is the Ferrari in your closet, and when you use it to connect, that's why I call it Dress to Connect. When you use fashion, color, style, beauty to connect with others, you expand your confidence, you expand your influence, and oftentimes you will expand your income. So come on over and join us there. And we share our fashion finds, and we have a lot of fun with fashion. We talk about boobs and bras and body shape, and we talk about no longer sacrificing at the altar of the fear of man, not wearing a bikini on the beach because we're afraid of what people think, or not going to that event wearing that dress because we're afraid to be judged or rejected. No more sacrificing at the altar of man, my friend. You can only serve one God. If you're serving man, and it's the fear of man, and it's fear of criticism and rejection and judgment, and if you're a perfectionist, that is fear of man. That is not fear of God. That is fear of man, because perfectionists do not like to make mistakes. They are robbers of time because they will not take action until everything is absolutely perfect. Perfectionism is rooted in fear. And in that conversation, in school.com, we have all kinds of conversations, from hair to growing out your pixie, to lashes, to fashion, to closet, to shoes and accessories, and also how to replace your spirit of perfectionism with a spirit of excellence. Because nobody likes a perfectionist. Nobody does. They are very, very hard to work with, very hard to do life with. I used to be one. Your spirit of excellence, however, is a part of your DNA, and that's what the world is looking for. A spirit of excellence is okay with mistakes. In fact, it's okay. It's not just okay with making mistakes. It knows that mistakes are essential toward success. A spirit of excellence takes action, and action brings experience, and experience brings results. So come on over to school, join the conversation there. And once again, thank you for joining me today. I hope that you will go and break down those barriers and be that bold, beautiful, badass bridge that you are called to be.